What are the factors of 8a cubed minus 1? Is it letter A, 2a plus 1 times 4a squared plus 2a plus 1? Or letter B, 2a minus 1 times 4a squared minus 2a plus 1? Or letter C, 2a plus 1 plus 4a squared minus 2a plus 1? Or letter D, 2a minus 1 times 4a squared plus 2a plus 1? What is your answer?
Hi there, I'm Jason, and you're watching
Jason! 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 Jason, learn!
So in answering such particular question, all you just need to do is to be aware of the concept of factoring the sum or difference of cubes. So this is just actually one of the factoring techniques or one of the factoring patterns which you must be familiar with so that when answering such question, it would be easier for you to answer it directly and correctly. So here is the pattern of the sum of cubes. So as what you can see, there are two terms which are raised to the power of 3, so meaning a cubed and b cubed, which are being added. So that's why it is called the sum of cubes. So sum pa ni una, so the difference will follow. So when you're going to factor them, all you just need to do is to get the cube root of the first term. So the cube root of the first term is a. So mo ang pattern. And then if this is plus ni ani. Plus the cube root of the second term. So duha naman sila ka terms, first term o second term. And then the other factor would be just square the first term, and then if this is plus, this should be minus. So they are opposite with each other. And then minus the product of the first term and the second term, so AB, and then plus the square of the second term. So all you just need to do is just to really memorize or familiarize or understand this pattern so that dali ra mo maka-answer og nato nga mga question. And now, as I said earlier, there is also a difference of cubes. So may kag difference of cubes. So what if minus ni mo ni og minus? So a cubed minus b cubed. So the factors of a cubed minus b cubed are just get the cube root of the first term a, and then if this is minus ni ani, minus the cube root of the second term, and then times just square the first term, and again kani og kani nga sign, they are opposite with one another. So if this is minus, so plus ni. If this is plus, minus ni. Okay, plus the product of the first term and the second term, so AB, and then plus the square of the second term. So in other words, mo na ni ang pattern nga imong timan-an. So plus ni, minus ni. If minus ni, plus ni. Alright, now let me show you this example for you to understand this pattern better. So let's factor x cubed plus y cubed. So again, this is plus man. So again, the first term is just the cube root of the first term. So the first term of the first factor. So ana x, cube root of x cubed is x man. And since this is plus, so plus po niyang sign ani, plus the cube root of the second term. So the cube root of y cubed is y. And then this is the first factor. So the other factor would be just square the first term. So x squared. So dahil na ka mag-base, plus man is so minus ng second operation. So minus, you multiply the first term and the second term. So x times y, that's xy. And then plus na dyan ng last term, the square of the last term y. So y squared, y squared. So in other words, this is the answer for this particular example. Alright? So dali ra dyan kaadyo as long as maka-familiarize ka, maka-perceive ka sa pattern. Now, let's have more examples so that you would be able to at least familiarize this kind of pattern. So factoring the sum or difference of cubes. Now, let's factor 27x cubed minus y cubed. So again, ang pattern is just the first term of the first factor is just to get the cube root of the first term. So cube root of 27x cubed, that's 3x. Because if you're gonna cube 3x, that's 27x cubed. And then minus man ni, so minus ni ang sign. The cube root of the second term, y cubed, is y. And then the other factor would be, so just square the first term, this one. So square ni mo. So 3x squared or quantity 3x squared, that's 9x squared. And then plus, you just multiply the first term and the second term of this answer. So 3x times y, that's 3xy. And then the square of the second term. So the square of this is y squared. So this is now the answer for this particular example, alright? Now what about this one? Let's get the factors of x cubed plus 8y cubed. So again, just get the cube root of the first term, so x. And then since this is plus, so plus ani. So plus the cube root of 8y cubed is 2y. And then times the square of the first term, so plus ni minus ni. The product of the first term and the second term, so x times 2y, that's 2xy. You have to arrange the variables in alphabetical order, and then plus the square of the second term, 2y, so quantity 2y squared, that's 4y squared. So this is now the answer or the factors of this particular example, alright? Now let's have one more example. 8x cubed plus 27y cubed. So we're gonna get the factors of this polynomial. So again, you just get the cube root of the first term. So the cube root of 8x cubed is 2x. And then plus mani, so plus the cube root of the second term, so 3y. And then times, just square the first term, so quantity 2x squared, that's 4x squared. And then since this is plus, so minus ni, the product of the first term and the second term, so 2x times 3y, that's 6xy. And then plus the square of the second term or the last term, so quantity 3y squared, that's 9y squared. So this is our answer for this particular example. Alright? Now what about this one? So let's get the factors of 64m cubed minus 125n cubed. So again, just get the cube root of the first term. So the cube root of 64m cubed is 4m. And then minus mani, so you also have to use the subtraction operation. So minus the cube root of the second term. So the cube root of 125n cubed is 5n. And then the other factor would be just square this first term. So quantity 4m squared, that's 16m squared. Since this is minus, so the operation of the second term of the second factor should be plus. So plus the product of the first term and the second term of this binomial, so 4m times 5n, that's 20mn. And then plus na dyan ang third term, the square of the last term or the second term. So quantity 5n squared, that's 25n squared. And this is now the answer for this particular example. What about this one? So let's get the factors of c cubed d cubed minus 216f cubed. So again, just get the cube root of the first term. So the cube root of c cubed d cubed is cd. And then minus, since this is minus the cube root of 216f cubed, that's 6f. And then the other factor would be, so just get the square of this first term. So quantity cd squared, that's c squared d squared. And then since this is minus, the second term of the second factor should be plus. And then just multiply them. So cd times 6f, that's 6cdf. So again, arrange the variables in alphabetical order as much as possible. And then plus the square of the second term or the last term of this binomial, 6f, that's 36f squared. And this is now the answer for this particular example. Dali ra no? So dali ra jud kaayo mag-factor og sum or difference of cubes. Now let's go back to the question of the day. Let's factor 8a cubed minus 1. So again, solution, just get the cube root of the first term. So the cube root of 8a cubed is 2a. And then, since this is minus, so minus, the cube root of 1 is 1. And then, the other factor would be just get the square of the first term. So quantity 2a squared, that's 4a squared. Since this is minus, so it should be plus the second, the operation of the second term should be addition. Plus the product of the first term and the second term. So 2a times 1, that's 2a. And then plus the square of the last term or the second term, so 1 squared, that's 1. And this is now our answer for this particular question of the day. So the factors of 8a cubed minus 1 is 2a minus 1 times 4a squared plus 2a plus 1. That's letter D, alright? Now this time, try this one. So try to factor 1000 w cubed x cubed plus 27y cubed z cubed. And then you may comment your answer in the comment section below. That's all for now. Thank you, more power, and let's keep learning.